Welcome into 5 Wide Fantasy. Today's video, we're into waiver wire targets here in week 7, another week of football in the books. Betfred, presenting sponsor of the show. The parlay this weekend, not great. The fact the Bucks couldn't get me like 24 points even. There are some serious problems in Tampa Bay. The NFC looks terrible, but I do have a target, waiver wire target for the Bucks, along with 5 others. So 6 total, 2 at both tight end, wide receiver, and running back. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to let me know. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video if you enjoyed. Comment down below with any players you're considering dropping or adding. Would love to help out as much as I can. Let's start tight end. We're trying to save ourselves, find some guys that can be reliable options the rest of the season. I think I have 2 who are under 50% rostered that might be able to help us out week in and week out. Starting with Robert Tonyan, who's 42% rostered right now, led the team last week with 12 targets, 10 receptions, 90 receiving yards. What was great was we saw a season high 82% route participation. The season average was 54%. I think a large reason for that is the Randall Cobb injury, the high ankle sprain. It gave Tonyan 20 routes from the slot. I think Cobb's absence, which looks to be an extended one, felt bad for him. Seeing his face on the cart not only looks like he was in tears, but also kind of just seeing how old he is getting. There were some gray hairs on that guy's head from the cart on the way out. So I do think that Tonyan looks to be a reliable option moving forward. Good to see him lead the team in targets. Commanders are next. The Bills, not the greatest matchup, but should be a competitive one. And then the Lions. So 2 of the next 3 are really good matchups for Tonyan. But even then, even in that Bills game, if we continue to see this type of volume and opportunity for him, there's no reason why he will not be a guy we're starting again and each and every week, hopefully moving forward. If not Tonyan, perhaps Mike Gesicki is available on your waiver wire. I'm looking at the numbers here, 24% rostered right now. So he's widely available. He's a player last year that was reliable, was a guy you could play each and every week, not have to worry about. He might be getting to that point where we can do that. This past week, hitting the gritty in the end zone. I saw Jamar didn't love that. I mean, he can't do the gritty, plain and simple. But 7 targets, 6 receptions, 69 yards, 2 touchdowns in the red zone for Gesicki. So really good to see. Someone probably you weren't looking at. But things are trending in the right direction, not just in that big week he just had this week, but the 76% route participation is his highest of the season, and his previous highest was last week. So things continue to trend well, and finally ran more routes than Trent Sherfield. First time this season he was able to do that. Gesicki is a very talented player that's in a competitive room, and for some reason just wasn't, I don't know if he just wasn't in the good books with Mike McDaniel, but things are starting to move in the direction that's really positive for us if he's available on the wire. We know he can be a top 12 option. He's done it before. Usage is all that's missing. It finally seems like he's a guy you can add, start, and if he gives you a dud, you're like, all right, that's fine. His numbers are there. His participation is there. Because in previous weeks, the reason he's on the wire is because there just wasn't enough routes for him to be run, and guys were out there over him that are surprising to see. Now that seems to have changed. The other good thing here is Tua likely back next week, so we'll see how that works out. It could be even more positive for him. And then as well, Jalen Waddle dealing with, it looks like, a shoulder sprain, so that's something to monitor and could add to his value as well at the tight end position. We're finally finding 2 guys here who I think can be reliable. Wide receiver, let's go to. I have 2 rookies who, one of them I think could be the league-winning type ad. The other, definitely a flyer stash type play. I know we're in a week here with a bunch of buys with some good teams on buy, so you could be looking for more reliable plays. But I want to get to these 2. I'm very excited about them. Taekwon Thornton, 1% rostered right now. This is just his 2nd game of the season, but was really good to see was the route participation. 69% of routes run on his quarterbacks dropbacks or Bailey Zappi's dropbacks between this 2 weeks that he's been back. And then this week, over 70%. He turned 4 catches, 3 rush attempts, 53 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was a huge play this week. If you were playing him in DFS, you could have maybe taken him a very big prize pool over an OwnersBox if you were playing Taekwon Thornton. But he's a ridiculous athlete. The athletic traits are off the charts. He ran a 4.27 40, and he had a burst score from Player Profile in the 90th percentile. This is a guy who's extremely talented, and in an offense here with a guy like Jacoby Myers in the slot who has always struggled with the touchdowns. Taekwon could be that gadget guy they look to go to inside the red zone. And then we have Devontae Parker, who's just running straight lines. Only really from a reliability standpoint is a guy who's just reliant on the deep ball. I'm pretty sure his ADOT is like 19 yards or something like that. Very, very high. So there is an opportunity for him with an immobile quarterback, whether it's Bailey Zappi or whether it's Mac Jones, for him to have a real impact fantasy-wise. And then his next 3 weeks, he's going against Chicago, Jets, and Indy. So pretty positive matchups there. Do I think this is a guy that I want to immediately play if I'm not dealing with a lot of buys? Probably not. This is better stash option, but I think it's worth adding him for potentially free, but with the touchdowns, you might have to spend a couple bucks, but I'd be happy to do that. But my favorite ad this week, without a doubt, we're going to the Giants. Well, no, it's not Kadarius Toney. He's long gone. He's dead to me. I'll never add him ever again. No, we'll never draft him ever again. But Wandel Robinson, it was his first game back since week 1, and the numbers look really, really good. The participation in terms of how many routes he ran wasn't there, but I think a lot of that comes down to knee injury, easing him back, not giving him his full recipe of opportunity. But he ran 11 routes, just 11 routes, a small number, but playing 23% of snaps, but 4 targets, 3 receptions, 37 yards, and a touchdown. On 11 routes, he had 4 targets. That's a 36% target per route run. That is a fantastic number to see, and cut into Richie James' routes run, and it cut it down to about half of what he had last week. It's clear that they want Wandel Robinson to be the guy over Richie James. He's taken his opportunity this week, but again, limited snap count. I think the opportunity here is only going to go up, and this room is terrible. Daniel Bellinger led the team in targets with just 1 more than Robinson, and then Darius Slayton was the next in routes run, and then Marcus Johnson was 3rd. This is a huge opportunity for an offense with Brian Daboll that is figuring out ways to win, figuring out ways to be successful. I am adding Wandel Robinson. I'm willing to spend up to 10% of my FAB to do it. I think if you did that, you'd have no problem adding him. I think he's going to fly under the radar with a lot of people, even with the touchdown he scored this week. He's my favorite target because I do think that he could be a player that is the number 1 option for the Giants, and the offense seems to just be finding ways to move the ball. So go add Wandale if you can. All right, running back position. 2 running backs we can add this week. 1 as a stash, 1 as a player that is, if you're one of those guys dealing with buys, you need to add this guy so you can start him immediately. It is Kenyan Drake. Big week last week. Out-touched Dobbins, put up over 100 yards on the ground, had a massive week. He's only 5% rostered. Talent-wise, this guy is not a long-term play, but Dobbins 7 touches for 15 yards before leaving the game. Harbaugh said that his knee tightened up. That is a problem for a guy coming off of an ACL injury. How willing are they to go back and play him this week? Honestly, I'd lean towards him sitting and not being available this week. With Lamar running the ball as much as he is, this wouldn't be a big add to bring in Kenyan Drake. Even if Dobbins were to miss time, I wouldn't be that excited about adding Kenyan Drake. But guess who's on deck? The Cleveland Browns, who are the worst run defense in the NFL. That makes Drake a priority add this week. But beyond that, probably not a lot of value. He goes Tampa Bay, New Orleans the 2 weeks after that, who are 2 premier run defenses in the league. So this is probably a 1-week add, but if you got a Devin Singletary, a Dalvin Cook, a Miles Sanders, all these guys are going to be out this week on the bye. This is a necessary risk you may have to take in terms of spending a significant amount of your FAB on this guy. But certainly in that matchup, worst run defense, I've got to take a shot on him, and I'll take the risk of Dobbins potentially being available, because even if Dobbins is available, there's a good chance it's a limited snap count, and Drake would be that number 1 option for the Ravens. Of course, Lamar Jackson can steal some of those touchdowns, but I mean, I want the number 1 rusher for any team that is going against Cleveland during this season. So last running back up is Rashad White, 34% rostered with the Bucs. I think this is a player that you need to make sure. Surprisingly, he's available on 66% of leagues right now. That is far too low of a number. Rashad White is the clear number 2 option for the Bucs and still being involved on a game-to-game basis. Weeks 4 and 5, he posted over 40% of snaps. He's had at least 3 receptions and 7 touches in the last 3 weeks. With that Kenneth Walker opportunity we just saw with Rashad Penny going out, this is a guy that you need to make sure you have and are willing to have a bench spot taken up by, because if anything happens to Leonard Fournette, this guy is an immediate RB1. I'm talking rest of season RB1, league-winning type player. He's not on that quite the amount of opportunity or standalone value that Tony Pollard has. But in this Bucs offense, with how much they're throwing the football and what Rashad White is able to do in the receiving game, posting 4 or 5 targets a game the last couple weeks, he's a player that you need to make sure is not in any waiver wires in any of your leagues, because his value could be astronomical if anything happens to Leonard Fournette. So be sure to go and add Rashad White as soon as you can. Those are our 6 must-add players for Week 7. Again, let me know in the comments of any guys you're considering dropping. Happy to help out. Like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel, and go check out our friends over at Betfred. Monday Night Football, if you're watching this before. If you're watching this after, hopefully my Chargers got a W tonight. But go check them out. Bet 50, get 250. All NFL season. That link is down below in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.